So I'm now going to open the Sherborn Select Board meeting on March 30th, 2023 at 6:15 p.m. and I'd like to have the Assistant Town Administrator read the agenda, please.
Good evening. After the meeting has been called to order and I read the agenda, the board can vote to either amend or approve the agenda. And there is also a public comment section, which nobody has told me they have anything for tonight. We have a public hearing that starts at 6:15 for the cable television license of Verizon New England, Inc. The next item would be consideration of entering into a license agreement with Verizon New England, Inc. Item number 2 is consideration of ballot questions for the 2023 annual town election. That needs to be at the town clerk's office by April 6th. And then there is a discussion with the select board members to decide who will speak at this year's Dover Sherborn graduation ceremony. When that open session is completed, the select board will then enter into executive session to meet with defense counsel and town counsel in executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A and 3, and Suffolk Construction versus DCAM 449 Mass 444 2007 to discuss Richard Thompson versus the town of Sherborn et al., Middlesex Superior Court, Civil Action 2181 CV 01004.
Thank you, Diane. Do I have any suggested revisions to the agenda? No. Okay. Do I have a motion with respect to the agenda?
Move approval.
All right. Is there a second? You got to unmute, Marion.
Second,
All right. Thanks, George.
and muted faster than Marion.
Yeah, I noticed. Marion. So now I'll take a roll call vote. Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. So it was 4-0 since Eric hasn't joined us yet. So I guess for the public hearing, before we get to the license agreement itself, do we need to, Bill, have you introduce it? We don't have any members of the public here yet.
Yeah, we can briefly describe it and then public can comment. I think it makes sense at this point. Let me get back to the Zoom picture here. I don't know why it was
We can see you fine.
yeah, mine just kind of disappeared, but all right. Let's see here. Let's get this closed. Goodness, stop that. Okay, I apologize. Let me just see if I can get back to the picture. Sometimes it.
You're trying to share your screen or you're trying to see
You
us?
know, oh no, I was just trying to somehow go into a document.
If
I
you go up
lost-
to view, if you go up to view in the upper right hand
Yeah.
corner, that should give
Just-
you choices of how to view it.
Yeah, here you go. Here it goes. Okay, great. I'm back. Okay, thank you. All right, so Bill Solomon, Town Special Cable Counsel for the Verizon license here. And Mr. Chairman, as you said, why don't I just briefly go over the basic terms again of the license. It's if approved tonight, today would be the effective date of the license. It's a 5-year license. Most licenses traditionally have been 10 years, but Verizon for the last 3 years, actually for the last 5 years, has been seeking only 5-year licenses, a term of 5 years. So this has the term of 5 years. In addition, the license has a 3-year unilateral out that Verizon could, in theory, exercise, but it's been the considered judgment of folks, including myself, that that they're unlikely to exercise that 3-year out during the 5-year term, because a lot of things would have to happen for them to provide video other than by cable. They have a good business. They have a good business here in Sherborn, and when you have a good business, it's one thing to say you're moving on to another business, video streaming, but it's another thing to do that. So we hope they remain a cable company in the town. They've been a good addition to Sherborn and to the Commonwealth. In exchange for that 5-year license rather than 10 years and 3-year unilateral out, Verizon is paying the PEG capital, that's Public Education Government Access Television. There's capital dollars in addition to the operating dollars to run PEG access through the Dover Sherborn TV. That capital payment is being paid within 3 years rather than over 5 years, so that if the out were to be exercised by Verizon, all of the capital, $47,950, would have been paid prior to the termination date. In addition to the continuation of 3 standard definition PEG access channels, community television, there's the addition of a high definition channel the first time. And that channel is implemented upon a 270-day written notice from this board to Verizon, which if you approve the license, you would do as soon as your next meeting. That high definition channel, as we mentioned last time, can be used for whatever the town wants to use it for. There you coordinate with Dover Sherborn TV, discuss what the best purpose for that high definition channel would be. It may be the government channel. Some places do a best of channel. Most places use it for government because in high definition now that the different documents that are shown on the screen can be read at home. The PEG access annual support, the franchise fee continues to be 5% of gross revenues, 5% of Verizon's gross revenues. It's the maximum allowed under the Cable Act, and that continues. The PEG grant, as mentioned, is $47,950. On a comparative basis, there's none higher in the Commonwealth. And I think that reflects 2 things. One, it reflects the fact it's a smaller town and you have larger capital needs or capital needs that are equivalent to larger towns because there's certain things that have to be done regardless of the size of the community. And secondly, and it reflects the work of the town, both in the past and now for the committee here, the board, in negotiating a license that meets the community's cable needs and interests, as the Cable Act says. And so as a result, it's a very strong capital dollar number. And I think it goes to show that Verizon believes that community programming in Sherborn not only serves the community, but makes them a stronger cable company. PEG interconnection and cable casting. Verizon will continue to pick up the programming at the town hall. And would I know Dover calls it a townhouse. I think it's called both here, but town hall, and also at the high school where the community television program is, Dover Sherborn Community Television.
Can I stop you there for a quick
Yes.
second, Bill? When I looked at the list, I hadn't remembered. I think it now includes the community room in Woodhaven Senior Center. That was on the list of the final document.
It may be there's 2 lists, and let me take a look. The one list
Well,
is
I'm
for
talking about the one in the contract. It's the only list that matters, I think.
yeah, no, but I mean there's also a list that has cable service to public buildings, and then
Yes.
there's the list of where programming originates. And
No, that's not the list. It's the
Yeah, let me-
service to public buildings.
yeah, go to it 1 sec.
I'm not finding it as quickly as I'd hope, but
Mr. Solomon, you were referring to the buildings from which programs.
it's Exhibit A. I'm sorry, Mary. Go ahead.
I think you were referring to buildings from which programs can originate.
That's right.
That's not what I'm asking about, Miriam.
Yeah, no, but so
Yeah.
yes, that's the next part. That's
Yeah.
right, Jeff. There's the list of programs of locations where cable service will be provided by, and let me pull it up, by
Is it-
Verizon.
The page I'm referring to isn't numbered, but it's Exhibit A.
Yeah, well, no, let me pull it up 1 sec. Okay, so, right, so Exhibit A are the buildings that'll be provided free cable service.
Yes.
If requested by the town.
Yeah.
And that's right. Those buildings include the community center, the police station, the fire station, highway garage, elderly housing, Pine Hill School.
I know all that. The only one that's new that, at least to my recollection, is the next to last one is Woodhaven Elderly Housing Day Rooms, which they they call it their, first of all, there's only one and they call it their community room, I think is the word they use.
I see, yeah. And so, and.
It
and
was
those are-
not previously on the list, I believe, but
Oh.
that's, I'm glad it is.
Yep. And because if it was if something wasn't on the list, it's the public building, but it's good that's on the list because there's questions, that elderly housing falls in a middle ground, as you know. So I think it's good on the list, and that's only going to happen if the town makes the request.
Well,
In most cases.
that's what I'm getting to, because they were gonna go to Woodhaven, I think it was a week or two ago, to sign people up in their individual apartments for service.
Good
But they
point.
they were under the impression that they also had as a elder housing committee, sign up the community room to a contractor, and I don't think that's necessary if I read this exhibit A correctly.
That's right. Yeah. And that's a good point, that further reason to say they should go there since they have an
Yeah,
obligation.
so we'll reach out, maybe Diane or Jeremy, if you can remind me, or you can reach out to Kitty Sturgis and make sure that they don't sign up, the wording doesn't say community room, but it says common rooms or whatever it said. There's only one room there that meets that
Standard, yeah.
Yeah.
And that,
but we wouldn't want them to pay for service they're not required to pay for.
that's a great point. So that's, so you should follow up on that.
Yep.
Then the cable service to public buildings addressed in the next section. And then, and additionally, and this was in the license we did, 15 years ago. Only certain communities had this, including Sherborn. As I mentioned last time, if Verizon provides the electronic program guide, the listing of programs for PEG access, they provide that in another community in Commonwealth, they have to come to Sherborn and talk to Sherborn about providing it. The same thing for PEG access video on demand. Now, it's given Verizon's view of where they're headed, they're likely not going to go in that direction. But the important part is, again, continuing the provision from 15 years ago, that if they were to provide that elsewhere in the Commonwealth, then they have to come and speak to Sherborn. And of course, when they come and speak to you, there's a basis to say, well, this is something we also have a strong interest in. We didn't put it in the license just to put it there. We put it there because if they were to implement that in Commonwealth, then we would want and expect they would come here and do the same. So that's the summary of the license. It said it's a strong license financially. It's a strong license with respect to key provisions and definitions, like the definition of gross revenue. And also it protects the town with respect to its public way and its financial interests. So I certainly recommend the board vote in favor of this license. And I want to thank the chair, the committee, everyone involved, Diane, Doug, apologize,
Mike Klein.
Mike, yeah, Klein, a team effort. Mike prepared the capital plan, which was the kernel upon which we built upon. Without Mike doing that, we wouldn't have had the same success. So thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and also if the public has any comments.
Well, I have one quick question, Paul. The performance bond is something that they fill out, is that correct? As to the end of the contract, we've actually already signed the contract, three of us have.
Oh.
Just because we were in town hall today.
Sure.
so- But the performance bond is something that they sign and notarize, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So Paul, you go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Well, first I wanted to congratulate our special counsel for an excellent license. Secondly, I want to ask if you would tell the voters roughly what does 5% of revenue translate to in terms of dollars?
Sure. Let me,
What
I
has
have,
that been? Just,
yeah, I have the summaries, but let me just do the quick calculation again. So approximately $43,000 a year on operating support.
great, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you.
And just to clarify for me, Mr. Solomon, has Verizon reviewed this contract and they
Yes,
agreed that?
fully agreed to. Yep. They at the end, they like to have control of the document. They sent it, I just corrected one little section that needed some capitalization and one word. So we're in full agreement, and I do have a draft motion, which I sent up.
I
Right,
have,
that we-
I have it here. I already printed it out, Bill.
Great, and in that draft motion, it indicates that Verizon has agreed to these terms and language. So thank you.
This is 6 months of back and forth with Verizon, Marion. So I didn't read the notice of public hearing, but I wanted to point out that it was advertised. We didn't seem to have any members of the public, general public on the call. So, but we did advertise as required of a public hearing, the select board regarding the license of the cable television license with Verizon New England. And it explains that the Zoom link is on the town's website and the public's invited to attend, and a copy of the renewal license will be available at town hall. So we've advertised as required for the public hearing.
Great. And maybe we want to ask one more time if there's anyone from the public, just to be sure.
Well, I think I know everyone here, but is there anyone from the public that wants to comment? We don't see anyone. So I would then propose to read the motion now, Bill. Does that make sense?
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, so the motion is the select board town of Sherborn cable television license renewal issued to Verizon New England, Inc. On March 30th, 2023. I hereby move that the board, as cable television license issuing authority, vote as follows. To grant the subject cable television renewal license with an effective date of March 30th, 2023 to Verizon New England, Inc., Verizon. All terms and conditions contained in the renewal license have been agreed upon by Verizon. Verizon, by and through its authorized representative, will execute this renewal license agreement as set out on the signature page. Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, so let's do a roll call vote. Marion,
aye.
George,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
and I am I as well. So what we did is we actually, three of us happened to be in town hall today. So
Good.
do we want people to authorize Diane to sign for them or Jeremy to sign for them? Marion and I think, did George, you sign it too? I forget.
No, I can swing by tomorrow though.
Okay. I forget who, did
I'll
you?
swing by tomorrow.
Okay. So Paul, do you,
I'm sorry,
go ahead, Eric.
I'm just saying, my app isn't working. I'm phoning in, so I can't see people's faces or whatever else. So excuse me if I butt in. That's all I'm saying.
No, no, you're
I'm not
fine. You're
exactly
good.
sure.
I knew it was you. I changed your name, but it's really just the select board, Jeremy, Diane, Bill, and then Mike Klein and Doug Ambos. That's wasn't a big hearing. So Paul, everyone can sign in person. Do you want us to vote so that Jeremy can sign for you, or do you want to swing by and sign it tomorrow?
I already authorized Diane to sign for me, so I'm surprised she hasn't.
Well, we kind of expected that, but we didn't know for sure.
Yeah, I'll get it done, Paul, not to worry.
Yeah. So we'll get it to you, Bill. And then, I guess the fully executed contract will come back to us once they've signed it.
Yep, well, so they want it electronically, so we'll work out my signing, whether it's just electronically or otherwise.
Yeah,
Probably that tomorrow, and then I can, Diana or I can send it to Paul, and then you'll get a final version back electronically. That's correct.
okay. So you don't need anything further from us, I'm assuming. Now, we're terminating the public hearing. It's only been 20 minutes, but there's no one here that seems to have comments, so. If someone comes, our open session ends at 7. If someone comes afterwards, I suppose we can recognize them, but I think we're finished with this agenda item then.
Great, thank you, and I'll follow up on the next item. We'll send that letter for the HD channel. So
All
thank you.
right,
All
thanks,
right,
Bill.
I appreciate the help. Thank you, Jeff.
Yep,
Bye-bye.
take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And Doug and Mike, thanks super for keeping us informed and educating us and helping us make sure the details were met our needs. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
Because
Glad to
Doug's been
help
at
them.
this for 30, longer than I have, at least 30 years. And the town's very fortunate to have someone who's dedicated week by week and makes this program run with others and Mike. So it's a
Yeah.
pleasure to be with Doug again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. So
Bye-bye.
anyway,
Thank you.
thank you. So the next agenda item is the ballot questions, which were in the packet. I can read them if we want. They haven't changed since we had in our packet previously. Do you want me to read there's 4 ballot questions, and the only issue Paul had raised was if they were going to use free cash and we wouldn't need a ballot question for any of these capital items, but they haven't changed their mind, and questions 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to be on the ballot for overrides for capital. Do you think, Paul, that I need to read each question?
No, but just to follow through what you said, that they were going to be meeting this week. I recall at the end of the last,
Yes,
the advisory committee here, they're going to meet this week and they were going to decide how they wanted to fund things. So I
Yeah.
gather they did meet and they did determine they wanted these ballot questions. And
correct,
wanted to do debt exclusions.
right.
That's
And
correct,
so-
Paul.
And so they're for roadway management, they're for town facilities, they're for the stormwater MS4 compliance, and then they're for the regional school items. So those are the 4.
So I would like to move to approve the ballot questions as submitted in our background material.
And I will second that.
Okay, let's do a roll call. Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
and I am I as well. So that's a 5-0 vote. Diane? So we're good with that.
Yep.
And then the next item that came up is they're looking for a speaker for Dover Sherborn graduation. We have a little confusion tonight. We need to verify. It's usually on a Thursday night, but their website seems to say Friday night, June 2nd. So in some instances, I think they've made Friday be a rain date. So we may have to, we're just going to double check, but I just wanted to see, I'm probably not going to be in town is my concern. And I actually did it 2 years ago. George did it, I think, last year, didn't you? So I didn't know,
Yes,
Marion.
and I'm not going to be on the board anymore as of then.
That,
so-
I know, I'm aware of that also. Thank you for letting me know. But
Okay.
Marion, I proposed Marion just because I don't think she's done it before. So,
No, I am willing to do it, Jeff. Um,
okay,
I hadn't thought about it. You suggested it this afternoon. I said, but actually I thought about it and yeah, I would be happy to do it.
all right. I think you'd be great at it.
That'll be
also.
great.
So, yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, I'll make it fun.
Yeah, I sure you will.
And,
So,
and just to give a clarification, like it's very brief, Marion. It's a
Yeah.
greeting from the town, and the other Dover selectman does it too. And but it is
Yeah.
nice to be there and be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I
Yeah.
get it. Shorter, the quicker, the shorter, the better.
yeah, I didn't follow. I actually was 10 minutes, I think, because I talked about resilience and I used that Very Hungry Caterpillar book to make my case. So it was unusual, but it went well. And my year was the first year they had graduation in person after 2 COVID years when it was virtual. And it was also Andy Keogh's retirement years, his last graduation ceremony. So it was kind of a cool thing.
So
All
do you
right.
need a motion?
I don't know if we need a motion for that. I don't think. Do you, Paul?
Never made a motion for that before. Somebody
Yeah.
just usually does it.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, and I'll look into the dates. I know I'm going to be around, so it's.
Yeah, so it's definitely the first week of June, and normally they have the chapel or service, baccalaureate, whatever it's called, on Wednesday, and the graduation Thursday with a Friday rain date. So that would be what I would expect. Okay, so that's the end of the open session. It's 6:41, and we didn't have the executive start till 7. So I'm just going to leave the line open in case anyone comes in expecting the open session. But we can convene in 20 minutes. And Eric, you don't need to.
Can we can't go to executive session early?
Well, we don't have the people here. We're having John Clarity and Chris Petrini brief us, so they're not here. So
Oh, right.
We
Okay.
told them 7.
Got
So
it.
Jeff, are you going to officially close this meeting, or should I just log off right now? You know what I mean? If you're going to officially close, I can vote to
I'm
close it.
thinking,
If you're going to suspend it, I can just log off.
I'm open to your suggestion, but Mike, we advertise this as a public hearing at 6:15, so I'm tempted to leave it open in case someone from the public dials in late or something and wonders what happened. Does that
Okay,
make
I'm
sense?
going to log off.
Yeah,
Call my cell phone if somehow someone someone logs on, protests the Verizon contract, and we have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
revote or something like that.
Don't hold your
gonna
breath.
take
We
the
like you
chance.
too much.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm gonna take
I'll
the
do the
chance.
same. I'll do the same. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
So
Okay,
everyone
see you guys
else, I
later.
think, yeah, thanks, Eric and Marianne. So everyone else will be back at 7 for the executive session.
Okay.
Second. We're trying to get all our ducks in a row here. So I'm now calling to order the select board on March 30th, 2023. We've completed the open session and we're now prepared to enter executive session. So I'd like to ask the town administrator, assistant town administrator, to read the executive session agenda, please.
Good evening. The select board will meet with defense counsel and town council in executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A and 3, and Suffolk Construction versus DCAM 449 Mass 444, parentheses 2007, to discuss Richard Thompson versus the town of Sherborn et al., Middlesex Superior Court, Civil Action 2181, CV 01004. The board will need a second and a roll call to go into executive session.
Yep, so I do declare that we need to enter executive session to discuss this item. And I would like to have a second.
Second.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote. George,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. So it's 3
I-
to 0.
I vote no.
Yes, I know, but fortunately we're muting you. So I am now.
You can vote all you want, Chuck.
And I'd like to have a motion to exit open session now.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, George,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. That concludes the select board for March 30th, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you,
Chuck, you didn't
everybody.
want to vote against it?
everyone. No, that's Chuck's job, but we evicted him, so we, okay. Thank you again.
Take care, everybody.
Ciao.
All right, bye.
See you.